Nothing is as inviting as a comfortable chair on a warm spring day, especially when you can take the time to relax and enjoy it. This Chattahoochee chair is the perfect spot to sit and watch the world go by, and the satisfaction that comes from knowing you created it makes it that much better.
Hey, I'm Brad Staggs. If you got 10 minutes, I can show you how simple it is to make this front porch or backyard masterpiece.
It all starts with the right lumber. For this project, we chose pressure-treated southern pine. This wood stands up to the elements, and it's environmentally friendly. You'll need 7 8-foot lengths of 1x4. You'll also need the correct fasteners for the wood. Look for screws that are designed to be used with treated lumber. It'll say so right on the package. You'll need a small box of number 8s, 1.25 inches long. For the arms, we'll be using these little L-shaped brackets. They'll give them a little more stability. As for the tools, you'll need a circular saw, a sander or router, a jigsaw or handsaw, a drill, some bits, some measuring tools, and of course, your safety gear.
The first step is the most important in any project. It's like having a firm foundation. Now, since we're making a chair, we want this to feel good underneath our skin. We want it to feel good when we touch it. So we're going to knock off all the sharp edges on the lumber. I prefer a router with a little roundover bit, but the point is it's just a little bit easier to knock off the edges when the lumber's uncut. This will get our job done a little more quickly.
We'll make the bottom first. Cut 2 lengths of wood to 23.5 inches. Cut another 2 lengths to 22 inches.
I want to talk a little bit about wood grain. Since this is an outdoor project, it's going to be sitting out in the rain, it's going to dry out. This wood is going to move, so let's make sure that we have the wood moving in the direction we want it to move in. You want to make sure that you orient your grain so that it's all facing the inside of the frame. In other words, that grain mark right there makes a C. You want to make sure that C is facing the inside of the chair frame itself.
Measure back from the edge of the board, 3/8 of an inch. Now make a mark a 1/2 inch from each side and one in the center of the board. These will be our 3 fastener locations. Use the smaller drill bit to make a pilot hole at each one. Then, using a drill bit about the size of the head of the screws, make a countersink hole. Be careful on this step. Use very light to moderate pressure because you don't want the bit to drive all the way through the board. You just want to make a small divot for the screw head. Next, install the screws, being careful not to over-tighten.
And you want to decide which of the 2 long ends, or the 23.5 inch ends, looks best. I'm going to go with this one, and I'm going to make just a light mark with pencil to indicate that it is the front. Now it's time to cut some more wood.
Cut 5 lengths to 23.5 inches. Smooth the edges, then drill pilot and countersink holes.
Now, how do we decide exactly where these slats are going to go? Well, first of all, this is the side of the frame that we've designated as the front, so we know that one of our slats lines up along that front edge. How do we know exactly where the back one goes? Well, we have to leave room enough for the back of our seat, which will sit right back here.
And we have to leave 4.5 inches. So measure back from the inside of the frame and make a tick mark.
Do the very same thing on the other side. That will be the location of our rear slat. So once we have that one installed and the front slat installed, it's just a matter of spacing the rest of them out evenly so that they not only look good, but that there's enough room for any water that may collect during a rain to drain through this. So I'll go ahead and attach those now. All right, that does it for our seat bottom. Now let's move on to the seat back. Now this is where some of the really cool design elements come in. If you look at all these different slats on the back, they're each cut at a 22.5 degree angle. Here's how we do it.
The back is made up of 6 lengths of treated southern pine, 2 at 31.75 inches, 2 at 29.25, and the last 2 are 26.75 in length. The simplest way to make sure all the angles are the same is to create a pattern on a scrap piece of lumber. Place a speed square along the edge and pivot until the 22.5 degree mark aligns with the same edge. Now draw a line across the board and cut using the circular saw. Now we can transfer and cut this angle on all the boards we just cut. Once these are cut, smooth the edges.
All right, our back's starting to take shape. We'll need 3 more pieces to complete it. 2 that are 23.5 inches long, and a third piece that's 22 inches long. Now, one of these longer pieces is going to be a brace across the center of the back. How do we locate that? Well, pretty simple. We measure up 12 inches on both of the end boards and make a mark. Now we lay that board across at the mark and draw a line. That'll be our reference mark. Now all we have to do is attach the outer 2 back pieces and space the rest out in between.
Use an offset pattern for the screws to keep the slats lined up correctly. Now, center the remaining 2 braces and attach together with screws. Next, measure 3/4 inch squares at the bottom corners of the back and cut them out. Attach the bottom supports, being careful to keep the upright pieces in alignment.
Now you can see how this all starts to go together. The back slides down into that opening that we left when we created our bottom, and you can see we even have a little adjustability in the angle of our back. Now we're not going to connect these 2 together yet. We do that with this arm leg assembly you see on the finished product.
Cut 4 legs at 22 3/4 inches long. The arms are 25 inches long, and you'll need 2 of them. Attach an L bracket to the top of each one of the legs.
Now, as far as the detail on the arm is concerned, at the front of each arm, we're just going to take off the corners at a 45-degree angle. This is more of an aesthetic thing than anything else, so you can measure back if you want to, or you can just eyeball it. It's on the back that the detail gets a little more detailed, if you will. Measure in 1 inch from the inside of the arm. We're going to make a little tick mark right there. And then we're going to take that 22.5 degree pattern that we made earlier for the back. We're going to line that up with that mark, draw a line there, and then we're going to take that off as well with the saw.
Once the cuts have been made, lay out 2 legs and position an arm on top. Attach the brackets with 1/2 inch screws, and repeat this for the other arm and leg assembly.
And I've got the right hand leg assembly. Now this is where your personal taste comes in. You have to decide how you want this chair to fit you. Here's what I've done. The front leg I measured up 12 inches, and on the back leg I measured up 9. Now I aligned those marks with the bottom corners of the bottom. And you can see it's going to give it a nice little angle. So I'm going to attach this with screws, do the same thing on the other side, and we'll talk about the back. And now it's time to finally attach the back of the chair. Again, this is where you can personalize the chair. I found the best tilt was right when the back support here lined up with the rear of the back leg. So all that remains at that point is to install a few screws at this point on the back leg where it meets the back, and our project is wrapped up. Truly, the most important step of this project is making sure your iced tea is cold, and that you have a place to enjoy it.